Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Right now I'm in the middle of a 24-hour stream for Final Fantasy Early Access, and the decks I'm coming up with are kind of wild. This is one of them. This is called Chocobo, because it's a Chocobo tribal deck, and it's absolutely absurd. I underestimated how insanely crazy Chocobo Tribal and Bird Tribal was going to be after this set dropped, and it's crazy. It's just completely crazy. You have to see it to believe it. I'm sure you'll see it soon enough, because as soon as launch day comes, this deck is going to be everywhere on the standard ladder for sure, or at least some version of this deck. It's just utterly absurd. There's so much power. The uncommons are like the best cards in the deck. It's crazy. We're going to dive in. Before we do, please like the video. It helps me get it out to so many more people and helps the channel grow. And subscribe if you're new so you never miss an upload, because I have a ton of crazy deck techs on the way. We're dropping one every single day from this point moving on. And I've got a ton of crazy decks from Early Access to show you already. So with all of that out of the way, catch me live Monday through Friday over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/QuarantineCapricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. Now let's break down this deck. So this is Chocobo, a pretty crazy Chocobo tribal deck. I underestimated just how crazy Chocobo tribal, Bird tribal was actually going to be, and this deck was absolutely insane. So first of all, I want to point out at the bottom of the curve, we have a lot of very cheap birds. So we're running 4 copies of Sazh's Chocobo, a 0/1 creature bird for 1 green mana, and has a landfall ability. Whenever a land you control enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Normally you're going to want to try and jam this on the battlefield as quickly as possible so that it's on the battlefield longer to get more landfall triggers so that it gets even bigger. We've also got 4 Miner's Guidewing, which is a 1/1 flying vigilance bird for just 1 mana. But this one, when it dies, target creature you control explores. And exploring in this deck is actually very beneficial, because you have a bunch of landfall triggers and you need lands in order to get those landfall triggers. So if you do happen to hit a land off the explore, you get another card in your hand that you can use to gas up your deck, and it's very, very beneficial. We've also got 4 copies of Healer's Hawk, a 1-mana flying lifelink bird for just 1 white mana. This one's really good too, because when it gets buffed up due to your tribal synergies, it matters that much more because you're actually gaining the life, in addition to it being in the air, which is really awesome. And then we've got also 4 copies of Mockingbird, a 1/1 flying bird bard for 1 blue and X. You can have it come in as a copy of anything that costs X or less, which is really, really good because you can copy some of your better tribal synergies. And also, if you're in a pinch, you can copy one of your opponent's creatures, which we actually do in one of the games. And that can be sometimes beneficial, because even if you're copying your opponent's stuff, it stays a bird. This Mockingbird is going to be a bird no matter what it's copying, so it's still going to pick up all of your bird tribal synergies. So let's move on to the 2-drop slot. We've got 4 copies of Valley Questcaller. This one makes sense. It's one of the only non-birds in the deck, but it's just too good to not play. 2/3 Rabbit Warrior for 1 white and 1. Whenever 1 or more other rabbits, birds, bats, or mice you control enter, you get to scry 1. So almost every creature we play, we're going to scry 1 here. And then other rabbits, bats, birds, and mice you control get +1/+1. So it's going to beef up all of our creatures and allow us to scry 1 every single time 1 enters, which is absolutely nuts. Sometimes we can copy the Valley Questcaller with the Mockingbird so that we get another tribal buff and double the scry triggers. But also the Mockingbird itself is still a bird, so it will also get the tribal buffs from the original Valley Questcaller, which is really nice. We're also running 4 copies of Ambrosia Whiteheart, a 2-mana 2/2 with flash. It is also a bird. It is legendary, which is kind of a bummer. But when Ambrosia Whiteheart enters, you may return another permanent you control to its owner's hand. Note that it doesn't say non-land permanent. That's an important part of this card. Sometimes there are certain cards you're going to want to return to gas up what you're doing, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But a lot of times you can just return a land if you don't have another land drop in your hand, just so that you can play it again and re-trigger all of your landfall abilities. And speaking of landfall abilities, Ambrosia Whiteheart also has a landfall trigger, giving it a +1/+0 buff whenever you play a land. And then we've also got 2 copies of Sheltered by Ghosts, an enchantment aura for 2 mana. It's going to exile any non-land permanent, plus buff our creature up +1/+0, give it lifelink, give it ward 2. It's good for a lot of different reasons, getting rid of pesky non-land permanents, but also protecting our creatures with the ward 2 is really, really nice. And sometimes when we're racing aggro, the lifelink matters. So we're using 2 copies of this to supplement 4 copies of another removal spell, which I'll get to in just a little bit. And that's Chocobo Kick, a 2-mana sorcery with a kicker cost of returning a land you control to its owner's hand, and then target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any creature an opponent controls. But if this spell was kicked, the creature you control deals twice that much damage instead. Normally a kicker cost like this is a downside. You don't really want to have to return a land to your hand because it's going to take you longer to get to max land count. But in a deck like this, you actually always want to make sure you can play a land every single turn, even if you're out of lands to play. So being able to return lands to your hand with Chocobo Kick or with the Ambrosia Whiteheart that we already saw, so that you can keep making landfall triggers, is actually incredibly important. And the fact that we get to do double damage when we do that just makes this card absolutely a necessity in my opinion, and gets us to 8 cards that can return lands to our hand, which I think is really good. But that brings us to Sidequest Raise a Chocobo, which is even better. An enchantment for 1 green and 1. Guys, this is probably the best card in the deck. It's one of the best uncommons ever printed. It's so absurd. When it enters, create a 2/2 green bird creature token. With whenever a land you control enters, this token gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So it's a 2/2 Chocobo with the normal landfall trigger. But also at the beginning of your main phase, if you control 4 or more birds, you transform this enchantment. It becomes Black Chocobo, a 2/2 bird that when it transforms, you search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. That's any land card. It doesn't have to be a basic, which means these Fabled Passage that can get us double landfall triggers because we can sack it to find another land. We can actually search out the Fabled Passage when we flip into Black Chocobo, get a landfall trigger immediately, and then next turn be able to untap the Fabled Passage and crack it to get another landfall trigger, in addition to potentially playing a land from our hand as well to trigger it. But that's not all, because the Black Chocobo also has a landfall ability, but it's a little bit different from the other landfall abilities we've seen. Whenever a land you control enters, birds you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So it's not just the Black Chocobo, it's all of your birds are getting an extra +1/+0 on landfall. That means if you have something like an Ambrosia Whiteheart that's getting its own +1/+0, and you have the Black Chocobo out, now every land you play is going to give Ambrosia +2/+0. You're going to get the entire team buffed by 1, plus all of your individual buffs also kicking off. That's also including Sazh's Chocobo getting counters, so pretty absurd. But to take it a step further, there's a really cool interaction here where when you flip into Black Chocobo, you can search for the Fabled Passage, put it onto the battlefield tapped, trigger all of your landfall triggers, then play Chocobo Kick or Ambrosia Whiteheart. Usually Chocobo Kick's better. Return the tapped Fabled Passage to your hand so that you can then replay it untapped, getting another landfall trigger, and then you can actually sack it since it's untapped and get a third landfall trigger. I'm sorry if I'm slurring my speech. I'm exhausted. I've been streaming for like 15 hours straight. It's the middle of the night. It's like 3 in the morning, and I'm still going. It's a 24-hour stream, but this deck is just absolutely insane, and the kind of synergies you can pull off with Chocobo Kick and Sidequest Raise a Chocobo are absolutely nuts. You can even return the Sidequest to your hand with the Ambrosia Whiteheart to replay it and get another token creature, which is also really, really nice. We've also got 3 copies of Bartz and Boko, a 4/3 legendary human bird for 2 green and 3. It has affinity for birds, so if you have at least 3 birds out, it's only going to cost you 2 green mana, which is insane. And then when it enters as a 4/3 creature, each other bird you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. So you basically peck to death any creature you want and get a 4/3 for pretty much only 2 mana most of the time when you set it up correctly. Absolutely nuts. Tempted to add 4 of these, but definitely at least playing 3, and that's what we did when we ran this deck. We played 3 of them. We have just a couple other cards as one-ofs in this deck as well. We've got 1 Traveling Chocobo, 3 mana, 3/2 bird. You can look at the top card of your library at any time, play lands and cast bird spells from the top of your library, and if a land or bird you control entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. That means all of your landfall abilities will trigger. Ambrosia getting to return something will trigger twice. The Bartz and Boko will get to deal damage to 2 different creatures. You'll get to kill 2 different things. So much value to be had off Traveling Chocobo. I'm tempted to include more, but I think keeping this deck as low to the ground as possible so that you can just vomit out a board full of birds, swarm your opponent, and just win as quick as possible is more important. That being said, if you top deck one of these a little bit later, if you haven't been able to win the game quick, it still provides a ton of value and it's absolutely worth being in there. It's another card that I'm tempted to up the count on in future versions of this deck because it's just that good. And then we've also got 1 copy of Choco, Seeker of Paradise, a 3/5 legendary creature bird for 4 mana in the colors of 𝐵𝑎𝑛𝑡. Whenever 1 or more birds you control attack, you look at that many cards from the top of your library, you may put 1 of them into your hand, then put any number of lands from among them onto the battlefield tapped and the rest into your graveyard, and then it has a landfall trigger itself. Whenever a land enters, it gets +1/+0. So absolutely insane. This is your top end. After you've gone as wide as you can with birds, you slam Choco, you attack with everything, you get a ton of triggers, you get a bunch of lands onto the battlefield, getting a bunch of landfall triggers. Sometimes all of those triggers are doubled if you have something like Traveling Chocobo out. It just gets absolutely absurd. But this is legendary, so we're just going to run 1 at the top end. But this is another card that's a good example of something that I would love to run more copies of in a future version. But like I said, with this version, I just thought it made sense to try to keep it as low to the ground as possible. Try to get as many birds out as quickly as possible, swarm our opponent, and just kill them outright. The mana base is very specific. We've got Razorverge Thicket because we need green and white early. But we're running a lot of verges other than that. Willowrush Verge, Hushwood Verge, Floodfarm Verge. Running a bunch of basics so that we can find them. Fabled Passages for the extra landfall triggers. And just 1 Lupinflower Village because we can use it to find birds or rabbits. And everything in the deck is either a bird or a rabbit. With the exception of, nope, Bartz and Boko is as well actually. So yeah, everything in the entire deck is either a bird or a rabbit, which is super helpful. But that's the deck. I had a ton of fun playing it, and honestly, it's super, super powerful. I think you're going to see this everywhere on the ranked ladder as soon as the set drops, because the deck's just absurd. It's way better than you think it is. It's way faster than you think it is, and it's just seething with value. I love it. Let's check out the games. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Wonders of the First. Wonders of the First is a brand new collectible card game similar to games like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, featuring a unique action-based resource economy that helps avoid pitfalls like mana flood or mana screw, and a battlefield containing multiple realms that unlock over time as you fight for control of the stones. The first 400 card set is called Existence, and they've even partnered with Star City Games to host their competitive play tour at every single SCG-Con event starting in August. The game contains alternate borderless art variants, as well as highly sought after limited edition numbered prints, culminating in a 1-of-1 stone foil. And the best part is that the developers have a community-first approach with a card database and deck builder available via Cardio, as well as a version of the game available on Tabletop Simulator, all for free. For more information, be sure to check out wondersccg.com today. That's wondersccg.com. This actually looks okay. I think we can keep this. It's not like insanely good because we have 2 Fabled Passages, but those Fabled Passages could end up being super good later on. I think we go Miner's Guidewing. Then we use the Fabled Passage to turn on the Verge to get blue to play a Mockingbird copying the Miner's Guidewing. 2 birds. Turn 3 we can Sidequest. And then later on we can use Ambrosia to return Mockingbird to our hand to play it as something better if we want. Ooh, we don't even need to play the Mockingbird yet. We will find we'll find green just to make sure we have it. I think the exploring is going to be really relevant because if there's a land on top of our deck, we get to put it in our hand and then we have another land for landfall triggers. VV. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're going to find white here. We're gonna need to do this because VV's just too crazy. VV is just too crazy. He can get it back, but he has to spend the majority of his turn doing it. And we get to explore. And one of his pieces of removal is gone on a crappy creature. All of that is good. Oh, we didn't get the death trigger because he exiled. Anybody else feel like there's just too much exile in Magic these days? I certainly do. Well, we could copy VV if we wanted. Don't think it's going to do a lot for us. Maybe it will, actually. I kind of want to copy VV. Our other choice is just to play Sidequest and a Mockingbird. Now we've got our own VV. Come on, top deck a green land. Sure. Play a spell. Get mana out of VV? Probably. Something like that. Draconautics Engineer. 2 counters on VV. Second main, 2 mana from VV. Swing with everything, no blocks. We'll take 5 and go to 17. Chocobo Kick. That'll work. I think that'll work. We get a +1/+1 counter. We would need to cast something else first, wouldn't we? But it could return our forest to our hand, replay it so that we can play Sidequest, raise a Chocobo. And then we would have 2 mana out of this so that we could Mockingbird. We wouldn't really need that for Mockingbird, would we? Nah. If we can't kill one of its creatures with it, it doesn't make sense right now. Let's go, Ambrosia. Bounce the forest. Play the forest. Sidequest. Blue. Pay 0. And we'll swing here. We'll hold back the guy with the big butt because we can. I actually think we're doing pretty good. We get to flip Sidequest next turn. Chocobo Kick to replay a land. And then play another Sidequest. Get more mana out of Vivi. Like, that's just a lot of triggers. That is just a lot of triggers. I copied with Mockingbird. I made a bird Vivi. We're just gonna let it through. He doesn't realize how much insane gas we're sending his way. Wait, you can search for any land? Oh my god. So we can find the Fabled Passage? Dude, that card is so broke. How is that only an uncommon? That is bananas. Dude, watch what I'm about to do right now. Kicker. Target a creature we control. I guess we probably want to do this one and then this one. Bounce the Fabled Passage that we just got. Trigger all of our triggers with the Fabled Passage once. Trigger all of our triggers with the Fabled Passage again. It comes in untapped. Oh my god. Oh my god, so crazy. This looks pretty good. We are only going to have one white source, which is a little bit worrisome. But we can use the Willowrush Verge to play the Mockingbird to copy a white creature. So we'll see how it goes. Keep 7. Plains on 1. Miner's Guidewing. Cloud Midgar Mercenary. 2 plains though, it must be mono white. Very interesting. Do we want blue or green? We want green. We could kill Cloud. I think we'd rather wait for him to waste mana trying to equip him first. Yeah. We're just going to play the Valley Questcaller and swing in 2. Means he can't swing in with Cloud without equipping him. And after he does equip him, we can Choco Kick him. Can also copy the Valley Questcaller. That's going to be fun. Aww. Boo. I don't think we need to bounce anything. Alright, let's attack first. I mean, I guess we just do it. Guess we just do it. We have another one, and we have an Ambrosia. Both of them can put lands back in our hand. Razorverge Thicket. We'd have to pay 2. That is not happening. But you know what we can do? Pay 0. Copy this guy. Now we have a 2/2 Ward 2 with flying. And we can flash in the Ambrosia. So we'll just swing in the air for now. Do need some payoffs here. We do need some payoffs. Lay down arms? No. There will be none of that. Thank you. Buster Sword, sure. Doesn't even attack? Needs the blocker that bad? I mean, we could just Choco Kick pretty easily. Submit 1. Auto pay. Kill it. Replay the plains. Replay the guide wing. And we'll hold off on the Fabled Passage until next turn because we might draw a better landfall payoff than just the Ambrosia. Overlord of the Mist Moors. Oh, we do get a Sazh's Chocobo. It's probably just going to trade with Ambrosia. Let's just force him to trade with crappy things or else let him through for damage. I'm fine with that. And we'll hold off on the Fabled Passage. It could end up being super valuable to us. I think next turn we just swing for the hills. 5-3, huh? Combat damage to a player. Block. We get to explore. We will explore onto this guy. Alright, another land. That's fine. Worst case scenario, we can landfall this turn while still saving the Fabled Passage if we don't draw a really good landfall payoff. We could also maybe just win. He can only block one thing, right? It would have to be Ambrosia. So, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very close to winning. Very, very close to winning. We will take our time again. Just swinging with these guys. We can crack the Fabled Passage at instant speed to buff up Sazh's Chocobo if he decides to block it. And even if he decides not to block it, we'll get in for an extra point. We'll explore onto the bigger flyer. We will keep that for sure. Play the Miner's Guide Wing. I think we got him next turn, man. I think we got him. Put a counter on Sazh's Chocobo, just trying to spread the buffs. Alright, he's laying down arms. He's laying them down. Why would you attack? He's gotta have a good blocker or something. 5-drop for free. Let's see what it is. It's just to get lost. I mean... He's just gonna scoop. Okay, that's fine. We're absolutely keeping this. This looks amazing. Keep 7. We definitely want the Sazh's Chocobo down first. The longer it's down, the bigger it gets. He's gonna have to kill it with removal. We have a lot of different options. We could Chocobo Kick to kill the Swift Spear. He probably kills the Chocobo in response. And we'd have to bounce a land to do it. I don't think we're really ready for that yet. We could hold up, I think we hold up Ambrosia Whiteheart. Or we just play the Guidewing. Guidewing's not awful, but... I think we're going to hold up Ambrosia. Even if we don't bounce anything. Plays the Planisphere. Decline. We gotta kill this dude, right? Chocobo Kick. Get out of here. Swing for 5. We are outpacing ℎ𝐿𝐴𝐻. Vivi's cool, but Vivi is slow. Bartz and Boko. Hell yeah. Get out of here, Vivi. Landfall, Chocobo Kick. You're out of here, buddy. Crazy. Alright, this actually looks pretty good. We could do Sazh's Chocobo on 1 again. I mean, we could do any one of these 1-drops, but I think Sazh's Chocobo is best because the longer it's out, the bigger it gets. I guess the one real downside to that is we can't play both the 1-drops next turn. Well, that makes my decision a lot easier. We'll get the Healer's Hawk down first since he doesn't have a creature. If he had a creature, I'd do the Vigilance guy, especially if it was a 1 toughness creature. But since we're ahead on tempo, it makes all the sense in the world to do it this way instead. Swing with the Healer's Hawk. Alright, he kills the Healer's Hawk. I mean, that's not awful. I'm okay with that. Choco Pounce. We need more chocobos. Alright. We will find a white. Because if we're gonna cast 2 spells, chances are we're definitely gonna need white for the 1 mana spell. Although we do kind of need blue too, right? Not with this hand. Not with this hand. This man does not want us to keep anything, huh? Just straight up removal. Vinny. Can Vinny come out and play? Let's play Traveling Chocobo and see if we can hit a land off the top. No dice, but we do have a Bartz. We just need more green for it. Is he out of removal? Of course not. 5/5. Is he going to transform it? Alright. So we'll go Sazh's Chocobo, Sheltered by Ghosts, and then he will scoop. Exile is a hell of a drug. Sorry, Numbskull. I love you. Love you, Numbskull. I'm sorry. Chocobo Kick would let us also play the Quest Caller. The problem is we wouldn't do enough damage. This would become a 2/2 after we play the land. Yeah, we're gonna have to set up. It's just not... It's not set up properly for us right now. Sephiroth demands it. Yeah, a lot of cheap removal. Bartz and Boko. I don't know. It's Boko, by the way, not Boko. But I like calling him Boko. I don't know what to do. I guess if we bounce a land, we can kill something. What do we want to kill, though? I don't think Sephiroth matters all that much. I think the Preacher matters. You can get your trigger, that's fine. Play the Forest, put a counter on. I don't want to give him back as Vincent. It's tempting, but I don't want to do it. So I'm not going to do it. Butts. See more butts. Well, now I don't mind. Now I don't mind at all. We'll go this again so that we can gain life. And this time we're going to kill Sephiroth. Because if he does kill our Sazh's Chocobo, he has to sacrifice one of the Vincents. Which seems pretty okay to me. He definitely doesn't want to use his Demolition Field, because we get free landfall triggers. We just need one bird, one green mana, one something, no blocks. That's fine. Das ist fine. We have no blue mana! Guess I should have found that blue mana, huh? I guess we just race. We're gaining more life a turn than him. and doing more damage. But he has the potential to kill our thing and get way more value. So it is a little bit worrisome. But we gotta do what we gotta do. Thicket. He can't block. So I guess we just swing with everything again. Next turn, we're good. What did he draw? It's a good thing he used up a lot of his removal early. He has enough mana to pay the ward, and that would be so problematic. Pay 1. Copy the quest caller. Bump up all our boys. Don't need the healer's hawk anymore. We'll play Bartz and Boko. Kill the Starscape Cleric. We don't want to kill the Galleon Beast because it just comes back. That's fine. Combat, swing for 10. And Bartz is ready to go again, man. What a card. What a card. Honestly, the body doesn't even matter that much on this. The fact that it can be a 2-mana removal spell that also just puts another bird on the table for your bird synergies, that's what matters. It could have been a 1/1 bird, and I think it would still be worth playing. It wouldn't be nearly as good, but it would still be worth playing, I think. Bane's Treachery. Well, you're going to be very upset. Dude, burbs the werbs. Burbs the werbs. Insanity. We didn't even get to flip our side quests. I wanted to. I wanted to. They wouldn't let me. Dude, this deck is crazy. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.